Hey guys, HappyCattyCrypto here and welcome back to the channel. So whilst all of the validators are currently bickering, doing nothing and just self-promoting all of the different crap they're self-promoting inside that validating group, you know things are getting desperate in there when people are starting to acknowledge and accept LUNC DAO, the narrative, Danny DeFi, LL69, people like this, people who have participated in the sheer BS that we've had to put up with as a blockchain. So whilst they're all doing that, let's focus on some stuff that is a little bit more bullish, stuff that we could really pursue as a blockchain. And when it comes down to what I'm going to propose next, it's kind of similar to 12101. The way that this person's gone about it, and as much as you all think it's me, it's not me, get over it. Yeah, moving forward. This person's pushed everybody into a corner. And like I was saying in my previous video, regardless of it passing or not passing, it's still going to shine a light. It's going to provide evidence, and it's more or less going to show the sides to this, because there are sides, like I said, as much as many people are trying to remain neutral, as much as they're all ignoring it in the validating group, because it mutually benefits them to not say anything, right? To not speak up and actually be a genuine person with honor. Now, everybody has heard about the maximum voting power cap. We've gone over it previously in a video. We've shown you that it's there, it's built into the system, and that it's something that is currently active. And I think what we need to do is think to ourselves right now. There is two sides to this. There are those that wish to stand with DeFi, stand with LUNC, and believe in the principles and the core ethics of this blockchain. And there are those that want to simply control as much as they can, centralize everything, run as many nodes as possible, and ensure that they're getting as much as they can out of this blockchain whilst giving absolutely nothing back. So this proposal really does set a precedent. So what I'm going to propose here is, and once again, right, this is going to be a proposal, and I'll get it up, I'll do the Commonwealth, I'll get it up for deposit, and we'll get it up for voting. Everybody needs to understand that if there truly is sides to this, for example, right, Interstellar Lounge has voted yes. I'm quite surprised, but this just goes to show, right, that there are good validators out there that do believe in the core principles of DeFi, regardless of having ups and downs with different people. They're voting for what's right, for what this chain stands for what we have designed this whole thing to be, right? People want to be in control of their own stuff. They want to not be told what to do. They want to do things in a decentralized manner. But when it comes down to doing the right thing, these people voting no, and voting no with a veto, really show us, right, that they're for centralization. And these are people that have practiced and preached over many months, 2 years for some of these people, about decentralization, helping your neighbor, making sure the chain's booming and blooming, make sure you're giving back to the chain. These people aren't giving back to the chain. They're trying to centralize things. They're inherently part of the problem. So what I think it's time for is to introduce a better maximum voting power cap. And the reason why I say this is, if any of these validators really care about bringing some level of decentralization to this chain, then they'll opt in for this. Because what I suggest is not something that hits validators on the spot. It doesn't simply take the voting power away from the validators. That's totally unfair. They've earned it. It's there with them. And that's just how it is. But what we can do is prevent this situation from getting any further out of hand than it needs to. So if I quickly bring that up again and we look at the yes votes, and for example, we see someone like Interstellar Lounge, they've got 5.51%. That's a good amount of voting power. There's a decent amount of coins out there. I would say to myself, anything between 4 and 6% is plenty enough for anybody. So what I would say at this point is we introduce a 6% voting power cap. This would mean that no validator currently would be able to get above 6%. And more importantly, it would introduce that same rule for all of the validators that are above 6%. So although it won't reduce their voting power straight away, it will still prevent them from gaining delegates. Every time they lose a delegate from a redelegation or from anything, they lose it permanently until they drop below 6%. And that's just how it needs to be if every single validator on this chain truly wants to see this blockchain flourish, if they want to see it thrive, if they want to see the active set opened up again to 130 validators, bringing 30 new slots for 30 new validators and 30 possible new projects, so to speak. Because as much as everybody's sort of like kumbayaing in that validator group and suddenly everybody wants LUNC back on scene, and him kind of saying, well, you know, I've launched a successful CEX within this time. He hasn't launched a successful CEX during this time. In fact, it was a total rug. And I think the CEX in itself probably lasted the good and best part of a week at most, right? So bringing these bad actors back on scene just shows the desperation out there inside this validator group, that they're so desperate to make this thing work that they're ignoring all of the warning signs, right? So like I was saying, although this isn't going to just instantly hit on that voting power, it's an acceptable change because all of these top validators, they're not going to see a change straight away. Hey, we might never see a change, but what we're not going to see is anybody's voting power that's above 6% getting any higher than it needs to be. And hopefully, just hopefully, over time, it starts to ease the pain and suffering of all of the other validators on this chain, trying to build and develop and gain voting power. It's so important at the moment, and there's such a big struggle right now where there's so much voting power in the hands of all of these different validators that inherently build on other blockchains, or they're not building anything at all. And they've got a considerable amount of voting power, whether it comes from stealth stake or trust or some kind of project that they're involved with, and they're getting them to invest in the coins and then delegate them with their validator, because there is good money to be made on this chain from staking. As much as people sit there and slate it externally, you get a decent amount of LUNC rewards. And you get USDT rewards, and that's a lot of the reasons why a lot of these people hang around, because you can do a lot with those rewards. And if you're saving them up like I do, and I wait until we do a 3, 4, 500% run like we sometimes do, it really pays off when you're patient. And doing the staking game is all down to patience, in my opinion. So like I was saying, this is a simple change that we could put up, we could get it proposed, and we could put it forward. And any validators, once again, kind of voting no for this kind of thing would be showing themselves to be a bad actor, someone who's not for decentralization, who wants the situation to remain centralized. And you can start to hold people accountable. People will write news articles from all of these different proposals. And if you keep pushing on these different things where you kind of push people into doing the honorable thing, doing the right thing, not being greedy and being supportive of your neighbor. If this chain is to really start moving during this bull run, small changes like this are going to look very bullish from the outside, because it looks like, well, it won't look like, if we all voted to get that put through and it passed, we would all be doing our part, including the top validators, and it would ease the suffering, it would ease the friction between a lot of the different validators, and we'd probably sit there and go, well, look, they're actually kind of trying. So like I said, remember what I was saying here. Key points is it does not change their voting power. The current voting power cap is 20%. This means no validator can get above 20%. So if they get to 20%, it tries to push above, it will not allow someone to stake with them until they drop below 20% again. Then it will allow another delegate or the same delegate to come back and stake. And what we've had over time is people hovering on their voting power. So they go down a little bit, they go back up a little bit, they go down a little bit, they go back up a little bit. There's panic sells, so they go down a lot, and then those buyers come back, they stake again, and inherently it goes back up, and you can just crush that situation there and then, just with a simple parameter change going from 20% to 6%. And like I said, right, 6% is more than enough. And let's say in a utopian environment, right, in the best circumstances, we get to a situation where we become very decentralized. The Nakamoto coefficient is very high at this point. We're doing very well. And more or less every validator's got between like 4 and 6%. And people are coming in, people are still staking, more coins are getting locked up because there's only 1 trillion locked up. There's still like 5 trillion more that could possibly get locked up. That's a lot more voting power. So inherently, I would say to myself, well, you'd increase the active set by 30 slots. And then if it came to it, you would do what Ethereum's done and open up another 30 slots because it's good for business. You need as many validators as possible, but you also want validators that are bringing stuff to the table, that are turning up every day. They're launching projects, they're launching dApps, they're bringing consumers in, they're bringing delegates in, and they're pushing the product, which is LUNC. These are all important things. I think this is a really bullish thing to do. Like I said, I'll do the Commonwealth. I'll get that ready. I'll get it up. I'll post it on my account. And then I'll move to the deposit phase probably after like 2 or 3 days after people have bickered about it, because everybody bickers about anything that I put up. But honestly, it's a simple change. There's not really much to say about it other than what I've said in this video. It doesn't affect anybody directly and immediately. This is something that would happen over time. And if everybody really wants to see this chain flourish, they will opt in for this new reward cap and voting power cap. It's so important that we start to push on these things, and we don't sit in these Telegram groups and we don't sit on Twitter just bickering all day and talking about the problems and ignoring the problems that we're part of. Instead, let's approach these problems head on. Let's come up with solutions and let's get things rolling. A big issue that I'm finding at the moment is the everyday Joe like you guys, you've had your voice removed from governance because they've put the deposit up to 5 million LUNC. And then the same again if you want to post a proposal. That's a lot of money. And we've got a lot of spiteful people on chain that vote no with a veto on stuff that's just a genuine proposal. No one, right, in this community right now is willing to take a 5 million LUNC risk. So therefore, you've already removed the voice of the community. People have to band together in a time when people just aren't banding together. There's a lot of friction. So hey, maybe this can remove the friction. Maybe this can get us back on track on top of that proposal 12101. If I said that right, let's double check it. Yeah, 12101. It's looking good at the moment. And I'm very surprised because it's a very simple proposal. And my key understanding of this is, and this is the fact that I'm going to sit on with this proposal, they have all voted based, right? And they've based their votes off of a theoretical text proposal, a theoretical system that was never designed, never created, never implemented. And they use it to shut down other proposals that they don't agree with. So therefore, right, we've already got people adhering to a text-based rule. It says it in the title of the proposal. So if they can do that, they can do this. And a more important point is to go and compare those votes. Look at who voted yes for that, and then look at who's voting no for this. Do the comparison, wake up, guys. We're getting to a point now where the DCM is going to fluctuate. And you guys are going to have to start to understand that there's a give-take relationship between chain, validator, and delegate. And we've all got to get a piece of the pie. And if people want to see more control over the blockchain, I beg of you to stake with decent validators who aren't going to run this chain into the ground, who are not circumventing the dynamic commission system, who are not running double nodes, network nodes, being part of the problem, pillaging, plundering, and all of these different things, right? Other than that, guys, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and as always, catch you in the next one.